Good evening, everyone. Shid or Jay Recovery Guy. Haven't said anything to you guys for quite a while, and I'm partially making this video not so much because I have a lot to say, but just because I haven't made one in way too long. And I had sort of half-assed promised that I would make this like a weekly thing, and it's been a lot way too long since I did anything. By the way, if you hear whining in the background, it's my boy Cowboy. He's a little bit mad at me because I put him in the crate because he wouldn't stop climbing all over me while I was trying to do this. Trust me, I'll let him back out as soon as we're done. Anyway, I just want to say hi to you guys and continue the positive message of recovery. It's been a long week, man. I've mentioned before that I work in a incarceration setting as pretty much the only substance abuse counselor for the entire place of about 800 people, and it's a lot. It's intense, and obviously I can't get into too many details without having HIPAA violations or things like that. But I can tell some cool stories randomly about people, and I just wanted to tell a couple of those stories tonight. Again, no names, no specific or details or anything that could ever give away their identities, but these are real people, these are real stories, and it I hope, especially if you're out there struggling, especially if you're like I was about 10 years ago and you're starting to think that dying is a relief, then I hope these kind of mean something to you. And I'm totally going off the top of my head here. I don't have any script or any anything, but um, wanted to tell you about one fellow that I worked with who every single time he came in, I think 97 times over the course of 5 years. He came into our jail, and every single time he came in, it was the same. It was heroin, and then of course, obviously fentanyl. Um, and he would come in, and he'd have no Suboxone prescription or methadone or anything like that. So he'd have to cold turkey and go through it. Which, side note, I think is, you know, we talk about in our, I'm pretty sure it's part of the Constitution. Call me ignorant. Cruel and unusual punishment. How the fuck is that not cruel and unusual punishment? We would have to watch this man go through such hell, and it always tore my heart out. And every time I had a chance, I would do something to help him. Even little things like I'd give him my little five senses meditation handout that I like to give people. Just anything I could do to try to make it a little easier. Mainly just go and listen to the poor guy, and every time he got out, I'd try to give him some leg up. So even if it was just the list of NA meetings with me putting a few stars next to the ones that I thought might he might get into, whatever it was. And anyway, time after time after time, and I guess the reason it tore my heart out so much is because it's a likable guy. He's really likable. Everybody loved the dude. And I shouldn't say loved. He's still alive. Don't worry. Um, and anyway, it's just I found out. I mean, I'm gonna pause for a second on that story and just say it's so common for me to have to tell people, oh, that guy passed away, or that was an overdose, or whatever. And so this episode is dedicated to the opposite of that, the good stories, the ones that made it. And anyway, he was going through it again. He was back. It was the same old shit. And the dude never really, he's not he's not a violent guy. So he never really did anything that would get himself in a shitload of trouble. He would just violate probation and he'd be back again another 90 days or another 30 days or whatever. And this time he came back, and I just was bound and freaking determined to try to make something different happen for this guy. And he wanted it too. He just didn't know how. And that's the problem with so much of our society, and believe me, things aren't getting better with all the budget cuts and everything, but he didn't know how. And even with all the cuts and everything, there are still resources out there. The problem is they're not advertised. People don't know how to get them. They have no idea where to go. Uh, and on top of that, if you think about it for a second, take somebody who's been on the streets and their only mission in life has been to get high first and foremost. Once they got that covered, almost like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for those who know what that is, to get high first and foremost, which in Maslow's hierarchy of needs would be like safety. Second of all, to find something to eat at least once in a while, and then third, even though it should be first, but third, safety of some kind or variety, some shelter, some way to get out of the rain, the cold, whatever. So you take somebody like that that's been in that position for however long, and then you put them in jail for a minute, and they clean up and they get all these good intentions and everything, and then you spit them back out on the street and say, go be successful. Right? What the fuck do you think is going to happen? They're going to immediately get overwhelmed, and they're going to go back to the one thing that helped, they believe at least, helped them cope. They're going to go back to their drug. And if they don't die, then what's going to happen is they're going to spiral out, and eventually they're going to do something else that gets them arrested again. Hopefully nothing too serious, right? So anyway, this guy, exactly that case, exactly that. And I'm really happy to say, and obviously, you know, anything can still happen, but he came in again, and we're all just like, oh my God, man, you're back. And this time, though, I'm really proud of us. I'm proud of the team I work with. We all kind of rallied around this man and did everything we could to put out a plan for him that would at least give him a freaking chance. And so someone I worked with got him a spot in a shelter, like a decent shelter, not just a place where there was going to be dope in the bed next to him. And Cowboy, would you please stop licking? Sorry about that. I don't know if y'all could hear that, but it's anyway. ADHD. We set him up with somewhere to get a roof over his head, a decent place, not ideal but decent, and I knew somebody who kind of volunteered to maybe give him a job, and things started falling into place for this guy. And it's one of the beautiful situations and things that makes my job so worth doing, where kind of out of the left field and right field, everything just sort of rolls into place for a person who wants it so bad. They cried to me in front of me, a tough man who just shedding tears because he wants to do something different and doesn't know how. And we put that all into place. Well, today marked the 1 year anniversary since he got out of jail. That man has never been out of jail in the last 10 years for more than a month or two. Like I said, 97 arrests. Actually, that's 97 in the last 5 years. There's a lot more than that. But he 1 year and a little bit more than a year clean and sober. And I am so fucking proud that I have the same tears in my eyes as the last time I saw him, when he looked beat up and sucked up and messed up by life, and I wanted to cry for him. Except this time, you know, I get to have that misty-eyed feeling because something good happened. And I still obviously don't know where the man's life will go. It's not my place to have anything to do with it, but I got to play a small part in helping him get where he's at. And again, I can't give any more details. I have to be very vague. But I am so proud of that man, and I'm so proud of the work that I get to do every day. I see so much failure, so much pain, so much death, honestly. Sorry. But once in a while, we get a victory. So there was that one. I had another case recently of a female who had been abused. I don't think I can say the R word on YouTube, but you know what it means. over and over and over, and I mean trafficked and horrible things. And as a consequence, not of no fault of her own, she she you know became an addict and became dependent on things like crystal meth and and heroin before the fentanyl. Long history of this. She decided while she was in custody after 2 decades of living this life that she didn't want to anymore. And I'll never forget several months ago when she came to me, almost a year ago, and said, "Can I talk to you? Can I talk to you in private?" Which, quite honestly, I don't do a lot. I talk a lot like in the open in the cell doors, and for some reason this time I said, "Sure, all right." Always keep the door open when it's with the females. Have to be very, very careful to protect myself. But we met in a little more private setting, and she said, "I'm ready. I want to do something different." Now I've heard that 1,000 times from people that some part of them means it, but it's it is what it is. But I got this feeling from her that that I get to have once in a while. It's one of the beauties of what I do. That once in a while I hear that and I'm like, it's just a feeling. Something clicks and you're like, I'm gonna put in extra effort here because this one's ready. And so anyway, I gave her some work to do. Basically, she enrolled in my program that I wrote, and she completed the whole program in 7 weeks. It's a 14-week program. She did everything in 7 weeks and absolutely killed it. And if that was proof enough that she wanted to do something different, I started really working on her case. And long story short, she had no place to land, had no place to go, and was terrified of what happens next because the last time she was in jail, she got arrested in the summer, let go in the winter, and all she had was some flip flops and some shorts and like a tank top, and we had to kick her out into the rain. It was messed up, but she came in this time and worked a good program while she was in there. And I had the privilege of playing a small part in setting her up with what came next for her. I really wish I could tell you guys more about it because it's such a cool story and she's such a cool woman. But I got to, and someone who I really believe, even though yeah she committed some crimes, I think she was also really fucked over by life, in more ways than I can count, and yet the strength that it took to grab hold of her life again and say, "This is my life. Fuck my trauma. I am going to learn how to be a recovering adult and I'm going to get everything back and then some." And I'm so proud to say that I had a chance to contact her a little while ago, and she's done it. She's doing it. She's gotten her house back and her car, and actually 2 cars, and is on the verge of being in contact with her children again, which is the only thing she really wanted. And I'm so proud that I got to be a little piece of that. So anyway, I know everything I've said here is super vague and kind of whatever, but I hope it's inspiring. I hope it means something to you guys. You guys already know I'm a long-term recovering dope fiend. 16 years, shot heroin, and I got to pull myself back up from that. I've shared plenty of my own history, so I'll spare you that. But, my own recovery is what allows me to go and be a part of these people's recovery. And it is so meaningful and so incredible and so important to me I have my dream job. Yeah, I could probably make more money doing something else or focus more on my music or whatever. But this, I hope me sharing a couple of these little stories with you guys is help you understand why what I do is the first and foremost thing in my mind. It's the most important thing I do, maybe aside from my 2-year-old son. Except for that, This work is incredible. And by the way, if anybody hears this message and decides, or if you're struggling but you want to find some purpose, man, go to your local junior college. Ask them, hey, how do I become an advocate? How do I become a counselor? What do I do? Can I get into that? Because I know for some folks it can make recovery harder, but for me it saved my fucking life. 7, 8 years ago, I think it was about 8 years ago when I got into this. I did my last shot of heroin November 14th, 2016. So you do the math. I've stopped counting, honestly. I've stopped counting. But I went into the JC and said, I want to take my history as a dope fiend and a heroin addict and suddenly, all that. How do I take that and turn it into a job without selling dope? And they helped me. And they walked me through this process, and I had the privilege to start working with other dope fiends when I only had about 6-7 months clean. Hell, I was still going through lightweight withdrawal. So please, if you're in that place, if you're hurting, if you're messed up right now and you're staring at the ceiling wondering if you want to stay alive, take that pain, take that shit, and turn it into something fucking meaningful. Save people's lives with it, because you can. Alright. Hey, if nobody's told you they love you tonight, I love you. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Be well, folks.